Have you ever looked at your home and thought, this doesn't feel like me? Maybe it's filled with hand-me-downs that were meant to be temporary but never got replaced. Perhaps you bought a house with a design style you hate and now feel like you have to gut and restart. Maybe you're drowning in trendy pieces that you thought would look great but now look flat and lifeless in your home. Or maybe your home is filled with everyone else's stuff. The kids, the pets, your partner, and somewhere along the way, you disappeared. But here's the good news. All is not lost and we can bring it back to life again. Now, how do I know how you feel? How do I know the feeling of just feeling like your space doesn't feel like your home? Well, my name is Tash. I'm an interior designer that likes making design accessible for everyone. And just like you, we all start somewhere, myself included. So sometimes there are constraints that we just feel like we can't get out of. And in this video, we're going to be talking about some of those constraints and ways that we can work through them to really truly make our home feel like us again. And if you really enjoy design adventures like this, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe down below. I think the most common one that we see, especially when someone is first starting out in their first home, their first rental, they've just moved out and just finished college, is too many hand-me-downs. Now, although hand-me-downs are a very nice thing to receive, especially from parents or friends or other family members, a lot of the time it says a lot more about that person who purchased it rather than yourself. And although hand-me-downs are a great way to start off with a lot of the basics in a home, eventually we do have to evolve past them. Now, if you are someone that has a bit of a budget constraint and you really do want to still make your house feel a little bit more like you, my biggest suggestion is just to look at the one piece that really bothers you the most and get rid of it. I don't mind if it's, your coffee table or if it's an armchair or if it's the bed frame. But while you're doing that, also look on Facebook Marketplace or cheaper places to find something that you do genuinely like. Especially if you have a budget constraint, you may not be able to get the exact thing that you want. So perhaps finding something that has at least some of the features that you enjoy will at least give you a step up and start bringing you closer to a space that you do genuinely feels like you. And then of course, over time, you can slowly replace all of the other ones that you perhaps don't like or don't feel like suit the space anymore until you have a fully refreshed home. The goal is not to do this all in like one hit and just sell everything straight away and then buy something new. A lot of the time when it comes to budget constraints, that's just not going to be the case. So take your time with it and deal with the ones that bother you the most first, or the ones that don't work well in your space first, because especially when something doesn't work in your space, it means that you're not going to be able to use your space very well. Think of it like this. Maybe you have a really large console that you don't like and you always hit your toe on it. That would be the first thing I would suggest to go, because as soon as you stop hitting your toe on that, you're going to have less of a strife towards everything else in your space because you don't have a sore toe. So I would highly suggest looking at the things that either bother you visually the most first or bother you the most in terms of how you need to use your space. But let's say perhaps you have just purchased your first home and you purchased something that you don't really like. That's unfortunately something that I've seen a lot of recently. Now, I recognize with purchasing a home, there are a lot of constraints. There might be budget, there might be location, there might be something else. But if you've purchased a home that does not reflect your personal style, so let's say you really like traditional, but you've purchased a mid-century home, what should you do? Well, a lot of people that I've seen online will go ahead and pretty much remodel the entire house and try and turn it into the style that they like. But unfortunately, that is not the right answer. Although it can be hard to live in a space that you dislike, you have to be understanding of how the home was originally built. Now, of course, because we've got so many modern homes these days, modern isn't as much of a big press as to what specific style you have to stick with. But with something like, let's say, a mid-century home or a Victorian style home, you do actually have to think about how the space is meant to be. Because if you go against that, you end up creating this weird juxtaposition or this weird space that doesn't feel quite right. If someone sees your home from the outside and goes, oh, it's a beautiful colonial home, but then they walk in and they see farmhouse, they're going to be confused. And it's because you're going against the natural flow of the space. So what can we do instead? One thing that would be the biggest change, and look, this does depend on whether or not you do genuinely hate this style or not, but if it's something that you can live with, I would suggest blending design styles. Now, if you'd like to learn a little bit about blending design styles and mixing even opposing ones, this video right here is a great one. I talk right through how to blend different design styles, the different methods, and show you visuals as well. But pretty much what you want to do is you want to go ahead and allow the home to still have its own voice, but then integrate yourself into it. So let's say you bought a mid-century home, but you actually really like traditional style. Perhaps you will have maybe one or two things that are traditional built into the home, but you will allow that mid-century to still come through, and then you can add in furniture to bring in that traditional feeling tied in with that mid-century, and you create a very unique home. This is the one thing that I don't think people realize, is that they can actually create a very really nice space that is so personal and unique, that allows the home to shine and allows the homeowner to shine at the same point in time as well. So if this is your position at the moment, don't go ahead and get the sledgehammer, get the design kit out and start thinking about really creative ways to actually honor the home rather than destroy it. A big one that I do see a lot of is people playing along with too many trends. So you may have really loved a specific influencer's new rug, and so you went ahead and purchased the same thing, but then you also love everything at Target, so then you purchase absolutely everything at Target as well. The problem with this overconsumption and this trend chasing is that you will never be happy. Yes, you may like it temporarily now, but then once your influencer changes out their rug, you're going to want the next rug as well. So you want to start sitting and thinking about, okay, do I genuinely like this or don't I? Is this because I'm getting influenced by a person that I respect or love, or is it because I genuinely like what it makes me feel? Is it the colors? Is it the textures? Is it a certain type of material type that it is? Do I just still really need that certain thing in the space, and so this is the first thing that I've seen that I think will look nice? Does it actually suit everything else that I have in the space, or is it going in a direction that won't really quite work? Chasing trends can be fun at times, and look, I liked playing with trends myself a little, but you don't want to be going so far to the point where you're just chasing trends, because then all your home will look like is a showroom for Target that fall, and then the next season will come through and you won't feel like it's yours anymore. You'll be like, oh, this is outdated. This doesn't really feel right. This just looks old in comparison. Another way to actually make a space feel a little bit more timeless is to have pieces that are from different time periods. So you might have something that you got from the 90s, and then you have something that's brand new. Perhaps you have something that's really, really vintage in your space as well. This allows for the home to have almost this ageless sort of look, which allows for the space to feel just a little bit more personable as well. If you have everything purchased all from the exact same time period, it's going to be very from that era, and we don't really want that, because then it's speaking to that era and not necessarily speaking to you. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more about design trends, where they come from, and how they influence you, I'd highly suggest checking out this video here. Now, along those same sort of lines, if you only ever purchase from IKEA or Target or whichever store that you're absolutely obsessed with, this can lead to it feeling like a showroom and feeling very impersonable, because it is all IKEA, it is all Target. And so instead of having a space that feels unique and feels much more geared to yourself, you just kind of feel like you've just got the whole catalog from one particular store. Now, I do love talking about some of these stores because they do genuinely have some really great pieces, some designer, some just budget friendly. But at the same point in time, we want to have a little bit of experimentation. We want to have a little bit of our own creative flow come through, not just the designers from IKEA. So my biggest suggestion is to just try out a different store. If you really love Target, tell yourself you're not going to go there for 6 months and have a look at some other stores. Even if they are still the big box stores, that is a good place to start off with. Just expand your horizons slowly. And if you're someone that loves thrifting, I would highly suggest pushing yourself to go do that more, because you're going to get much more unique one-off pieces by doing that. Now, this one's a bit more of a psychological one, and it's almost like feeling like you're stuck in the past, that you can't move forward for whatever reason. It might be genuinely from budget constraints or from a certain time in your life where things felt good, so why would you want to change it? But this one is definitely one where it's all in your mind. It's not necessarily that the home necessarily is a bad thing. Maybe it's just a little outdated, sure, but you feel like you can't get rid of certain pieces because maybe someone purchased it for you, maybe it has a specific emotion tied to it, but you have to sit with yourself and work through those emotions to allow yourself to move forward. As I've mentioned in a lot of my videos, our home is a reflection of ourself, and it is a forever process going through design because we are slowly changing over time, and so our homes do as well. However, if you're really stuck in something, maybe sit and think with that piece and go, okay, why can't I get rid of this piece? Is there a way that I can potentially renew it, maybe by repainting it or giving it some new hardware? Or maybe I can gift it to someone who I think will genuinely appreciate it so I know it's not going to waste. There are a lot of ways to kind of work through this feeling, but if you constantly sit this way, you're almost going to eat at yourself by going, okay, I hate my space, but I can't change this because of this reason. This is very psychological, so I would highly suggest just taking some time for yourself, sitting and thinking about it, and going, okay, I'm ready for change. What can I do? And even if it's a small thing, that's a great place to start. And everyone starts somewhere. So, regardless as to whether or not it's financially related or emotionally related, starting small and then building up from there is a great way to do that, to build into the space what you want it to be now instead of what it was like in the past. This next one I feel like is very, very common for people that have lived a lot of life, and that is just having a lot of stuff. And it's probably time to declutter because if you feel like you can't find anything or you feel like you're in a sea of stuff that you do genuinely love, but it's not well displayed, it's just all kind of put everywhere, now would be a great time to do some spring cleaning. Now, I'm not expecting you to go through and do everything all in an entire weekend or a day or anything, but just start with one or two things where you go, okay, I've got a lot of this stuff. Do I want to display it, or do I want to store it, or do I want to sell it or pass it on to somebody else? Sometimes having that understanding and knowing for certain, okay, this is what I want here, is a skill to have. It's genuinely a muscle. But if you don't do this, just think about it this way. You may lose the thing that you want to genuinely display. You may potentially damage something because you haven't stored it correctly. If you don't go ahead and do some level of decluttering and even just tidying up and working through all the stuff that you have, you're doing a disservice to yourself and the things that you have collected as well. So keep it in mind. I know it is a very big task to declutter, especially for a really large home that has a lot of things. Don't expect yourself to get it all done in one weekend, but just start with one area or one particular style of thing and figure out whether or not you do genuinely want to showcase it or pass it on or store it. Whatever feels right for you. On the flip side, perhaps you don't have enough personalization. Perhaps you have all the stuff from IKEA or Target, and you don't really have anything that's really reflective of you. You have all the decorations, but nothing that really screams you. At this point in time, now you would probably want to actually start adding personalization. So unlike the person beforehand that perhaps has too much personalization and has it all cluttered in their life, now's the time to actually start adding things in for you. When it comes to personalization, some of my favorite things to do is to add photo frames or photos of you and your loved ones. Perhaps you can do something really creative. So behind me over here is a lovely little console, and this is like our memories console. So it is not beautiful. It is a little bit of a clutter of all different sorts of things, but it has a lot of memories tied to every single item that is on that particular piece. So perhaps you could do something like that. Perhaps you can just get something from a family member that has always meant a lot for you. And slowly, by adding in those more personalized pieces, even if there's only a few of them, they'll become some of your favorite things because it's a reflection of you, your family, and what you love as well. And once you're done with the personalization of things, perhaps you will want to then elevate your home and take it to the next level in terms of the actual design style. If that is something that you're interested in, I'd highly suggest checking out this next video here, all about elevating our homes and taking it to the next level. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next design adventure.